athleticism, the professionalism. It's a fantastic thing to see. She's a very consistent player, and you would think that amount of time she's got to be tired by the end of it. She will not show it. I guarantee you by the end of this game she will still be running, still be going solid, and as you can see, always smiling, always happy. It's what you like to see.
So it's the Wildcats with the first possession in the black uniforms with the red trim, the Roller Hawks in their white strip. Moncrief with the first possession. Kicks it across to McHugh, closely guarded, but he's able to make his left-hand shot go.
That's surprising to see pretty early. Perth accepting an outside shot, not looking to get their big players inside. That'll be an interesting way if that's how they look to play this game.
Knowles skips it across to Jonty Brown. His shot's a little off. Frank Pinder the rebound, finds Moncrief. He's got a foul, the first of the game. Jordi Ruiz, who was in foul trouble last night in the game, had to spend a considerable amount of time on the substitutes bench.
That's the thing, it's only taken him 30 seconds to get one. Obviously that doesn't mean anything necessarily, but really don't want to put him in that position later in this game.
Moncrief across to McHugh. He looks back for Moncrief. Evans and Pinder setting screens there. Back to Evans. His shot's off. Brown the rebound. Luke Popel, one of multiple rollers, the Australian men's national team, on the floor at the moment with the ball. Ball finds its way to Jonty Brown. Half-court hook pass across to Ruiz. He struggles to find a handle. Knowles, skip pass again to Brown. Shot clock running down. His shot's off. McHugh the rebound.
Rollhawks just looking a little bit unsteady, a little unsure of themselves, kind of kicking a few too many passes and an uncomfortable end shot.
McHugh's left alone, balances himself. He's got a lovely stroke with that much time. Popel across to Knowles. Knowles lets three go. That's off. Rebound falls to Pinder. Moncrief running the point. Gets it off to Evans. Kicks ahead to McHugh. Nice give and go. Moritz there, trapped under. Gets the ball back to Moncrief. He wheels around, closely guarded by Brown. Pinder. Dodd falls down in her chair. And in doing so, fouls Pinder, who makes the layup. And it might be the same shoulder injury we saw earlier for Hannah Dodd.
Yeah, that's the risk of playing two back-to-back games. Hannah Dodd, she does take quite a few falls just by the nature of the way she plays and her condition. She can dislocate her shoulders pretty easily, but this one's looking like it's a little bit worse.
You mentioned she's a hyperextension, which causes a lot of the problems with the joint. She's assisted up.
We'll see how she looks in a second.
Tristan Knowles,
yep.
Captain, just checking things out as she's able to flex herself into position. It's quite a excruciating process to watch for the layman.
And it's one of those things you might have even heard the crowd go ooh as she kicks that back into position. But this is something that she does pretty consistently. It's not too uncommon for her, and all smiles. Although a little bit of a grimace smile.
Pinder's free throw is off, but it's the first half dozen points of the game to the Wildcats. Knowles drives, finds Ruiz. It's a shot he's normally comfortable with. Offensive rebound, Popel is able to get the Roller Hawks on the board. Moncrief, hotly pursued in the backcourt. Kicks ahead to McHugh in 13. He avoids some hands. Back to Moncrief with the blonde hair, 25. Looking for McHugh down in the post. The pass is a little too strong.
And I really like the way that the Roller Hawks are playing that defense, playing very high, playing aggressive, and forcing the Wildcats to do a lot of passes, a lot of long passes, and kind of waste a lot of time and then look for an unfortunate shot and even a pass that wasn't able to make it there.
Tristan Knowles with the ball, kicks it to Ruiz. Again, he can't make that shot that he's generally so comfortable with. Go on the baseline. Evans is away. Dodd pursuing him. Beautiful curling manoeuvre from McHugh. Can't finish the layup, but the Roller Hawks off and away. Popel, a couple of fakes. Thinks better of it. Back to Knowles. Skip pass. Ruiz. That's a little short, but he was bumped in shooting. Jordan Moritz with the foul.
Jordi Ruiz just struggling a little bit to find his distance on those shots. As you said, he is usually pretty consistent from those outside shots, but I'm sure the Wildcats not willing to give him any room just yet.
Yeah, I mean, vastly experienced, played 18 years professionally in the European leagues, dual Paralympian, silver medalist in 2016 in Rio, and he started very smoothly yesterday as he makes that free throw, the last one. But then he struggled along with the Roller Hawks when the Salties went on a transition tear. As Moncrief looks inside, passes astray, but he got a bump as he was passing. And head coach of the Wildcats, Ben Ettridge, wants to have a talk with his team. That'll be the first time out of the afternoon.
Yeah, I think this is a smart chance for the Wildcats, just to take a second to calm down. They know that they like to play a little bit of a slower game, that like their setup offenses and defenses, and they've kind of been pressured into not being able to play that. Obviously, as I said before, the Roller Hawks playing a very aggressive form of defense that kind of upsets the Wildcats, and they're probably looking at a way to break that press, get across, and then get into their set offense is what I suspect they'll be looking at the moment.
Timeout looks pretty calm from Coach Ettridge. The whiteboard's out. All eyes intently watching things. They're quite the younger team, aren't they? But purely in terms of age, but also in terms of experience at this level, Campbell. The Wildcats.
They're definitely a younger team, fascinatingly, with probably the longest history, or one of the longer histories in the league. So they have a lot of experience and a lot of infrastructure behind them. Obviously, Sean Norris being on the bench there as well, helping out Ben Ettridge on the coaching. Sean Norris with a lot of experience at a Paralympic level. So it's really exciting to see that kind of new wave of young talent come through and be supported through it.
There's a defensive breakdown there. Evans missing the layup, left all alone. Yeah, you mentioned the Wildcats. Foundation members of the league dating back to 1988, and they lead the title tally with 8 national championships prior to this weekend. Knowles has the ball deflected off him. It's a scramble. 2 players down. Official Tomazic has found a foul. He's just waiting for players to get up. Jordan Moritz assessed with the foul, yeah.
It's a pretty hard foul. It's a pretty hard fall to take, especially when you're moving at that speed.
Yeah, 2 players. Didn't seem to be any obvious advantage, but the official with that much contact in a situation where they had to make some sort of calls. Popel starts with the ball, kicks to Knowles. In 19, he uses Popel's screen, flicks the pass back to Ruiz. Another, what looked like a good pass, just a fraction out of Popel's reach. It's a turnover. Moncrief with the ball for Perth, spies an opening. Knowles comes late, bumps him. Moncrief will go to the line for 2 free throws. The first foul on Tristan Knowles for the Roller Hawks.
And the Roller Hawks just having a few unforced errors here that they really shouldn't be making, and passes going a little bit wayward and the communication kind of falling apart. I think they need to take a second, kind of get easy scores, not look for anything fancy, and then kind of shore themselves back up.
Moncrief's first free throw attempt is off. A couple of subs waiting to come in for the Wildcats. Second one short as well. A let off for the Roller Hawks. Popel with the ball for them. Knowles tries to cut baseline. Ruiz out to Knowles. Ruiz comes to set a screen. Knowles thinks better of it, goes the other way, gets himself right in the middle of the paint. Johnny Brown, head fake and go. And a nice two-hand layup, but I think that's going to be waved off. Officials just conferring there. An offensive foul assessed on Johnny Brown. He's not so happy. The basket was, in fact, waved off. As a couple of substitutes come in for the Wheelcats. It's youngster Cooper Spillane in 16 and Jake Kavanagh, the captain of the team, in 14.
It's an unfortunate call for Johnny Brown there. It was up until that point, it was an extremely smart play. He knew that the defender was coming in and overcommitting. Took that quick second to wait and pushed through it really hard, and no one was able to come back in quite in time, but just a little bit uncontrolled and comes flying in with a little too much speed.
Hannah Dodd takes a seat for the Roller Hawks. Jared Emeny onto the floor in number 13. We've got another foul on the backcourt. The Roller Hawks up to 5 team fouls now. The ref's just consulting with the score table, but that will result in 2 free throws. Standard rule of all basketball. More than on the 5th foul onwards in a quarter results in 2 free throws to the team that was fouled.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate position for them to be put in now with the whole half of the quarter left. However, it's only Jonty Brown with 2 and the rest being spread across 1 foul for a couple of different people. So no one getting too badly in foul trouble yet, which was the concern with them yesterday.
The Wheelcats doing the Roller Hawks a favour, missing 2 free throws there again. Cooper Spillane. Knowles drives middle. He's been a little bit quieter than his start yesterday. Popel's long 2 is off. Knowles not quite aware where the ball is. McHugh scrambling. Flicks it up. Clever play there, but just a wheel on the line. Tristan Knowles to inbound to Luke Popel for the Roller Hawks. Low scoring affair to this point. Just past the midway point of the first quarter. It's the preliminary final coming to you from the Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Centre. The Wizards shots off again. Rebound caroms out to McHugh. Sean Russell on the floor as well in uniform number 1, guarding the ball there. Kavanagh flicks it across. Couple of shot fakes from McHugh. The shot is sweet.
And that was a really smart play from the Wheelcats to kind of force into that mismatch. Tom McHugh's going to be happy to shoot outside as long as he's sitting on a mismatch pretty consistently.
Tristan Knowles left wide open. Tom McHugh pleading with the referee, saying that he was held up illegally on that screen that pinned him in. The Wheelcats are off again. Evans spies a lane to the hoop. His finger rolls off. Sean Russell the rebound. Knowles weaving in and out. It's a clip on his chair, continues. Looks inside. Finds Russell. Lets out an exasperated yelp, missing that shot. Kavanagh with it. Retreats. Finds McHugh inside. Couple of players down on the floor. Official stops the game. Pretty standard and a safety first approach.
Yeah, that's what will happen. Anytime that a player's down in the way of the play will stop. If they manage to fall down behind the play will continue unless the person holding the ball indicates that they want the play to stop and allow that player to get back up, which will normally happen if it's their teammate. Obviously, if it's not, they'll try to play the advantage.
Spillane skips the ball across to McHugh. He's in that same spot. Can't make that one go. Stephen Elliott's snuck onto the floor for the Roller Hawks in 10. Designated defender, but Tristan Knowles, another three. Such a crucial part of the offensive and defensive framework of the Roller Hawks. McHugh drives down to that favoured left-hand block. Back to Spillane. He sees Kavanagh inside. He can't get that shot to go. Knowles the rebound, looking to push. Stops again. Lets another three go. It's another one. And a pump of the fist there.
And he's almost rolling away before the shots even landed. He's pretty comfortable with his position now. I think he's found his range and he's pretty happy with it.
Plenty of action going on in the backcourt, which some viewers may not be familiar with. A key part of wheelchair basketball. Kavanagh makes the layup. Holding defenders back, holding offensive players in the backcourt. Knowles again. Plenty of shouts from the Perth bench. Popel held up, back to Knowles. Lets another one go. Almost fell in.
Phil's there. Get over. Nice, Frank. Good job, Frank. Good job.
Kinder. Kavanagh drives baseline. Knowles gets a hand on the ball. Officials are saying it's a held ball. Possession arrow will see that revert to the Roller Hawks as a fleet of subs come on for both teams.
Tristan Knowles really doing a lot on the defensive side to really pressure the ball, make sure that nothing's given away quickly. And that's kind of been the staple of his career, is playing that kind of fast, aggressive, agile style and getting a few steals in there, and then obviously looking to play the threes down the offensive end.
And speaking of threes, there's another one. All but went in from Knowles. McHugh the defensive rebound. Evans probing. Moncrief's back on the floor on the left. He gets a screen from Moritz. Finds McHugh. So often play on opposite sides of the floor. 2 focal points. His elevated shot is good again. He's denied access to the front court to defend. It's a 2-on-2 situation. Ruiz wheeling around, looking at options. Finds Knowles. He cleverly tucks the ball in and makes a layup.
And Jared Emini doing basically everything to set that up. All that Tristan Knowles needed to do was follow the line that was basically handed to him.
Yeah, we do need a stat for that a layup assist. Screening action. Jared Emini there, fantastic.
That's one thing that we've called for in the wheelchair game for a very long time, is a way to track that statistic. It's a little bit hard to track, but I think the low point players know that they've earned those points.
Falls into one of Australia's premier low point players, Frank Finder. He hands it off. It finds its way back to McHugh. He's looking at a three. That's way long. The top of the backboard. Elliott the rebound. Ruiz looks ahead. His pass is picked off. McHugh's shot clock running down. That very long three went in and out. So we find ourselves 15-12 at the end of quarter one, Campbell.
Yeah, it's a very interesting score. I think the Wheelcats, for a minute there, were looking pretty strong, looking like they might get a handsome lead out of it. But a few threes coming down from Tristan Knowles and just getting that energy back in for the side of Wollongong, and they're coming away with it.
We saw Knowles make 4 3-pointers in the first quarter yesterday of the semi-final against the Salties, and he was unable to make another one after that. The Salties were able to adjust and find him on transition. The similar situation here required by the Wheelcats?
I think it's something that it's definitely required from the Wheelcats. I don't know if they have the right style of players to do it. That's one of the struggles that the Wheelcats have, is that they're very consistent inside shooters, they're very strong shooters, but they don't have as much speed and agility and aggression on their side, which is what they seem to struggle with against certain teams. And certainly that's what the Roller Hawks have been doing. That's kind of worked for them quite well, is playing to that aggression, playing to that scrappy nature that they're very comfortable with, and the Wheelcats are not.
And on the other side of the equation, what were the Roller Hawks? What would they be most happy about?
I think they'd have to be happy about their offense. Their offenses have looked good. They've gotten into consistent positions. They've put themselves in positions to score. The scores haven't always gone their way. Jordi Ruiz struggling a little bit with his shooting at this point, but getting into those positions where they know that the buckets will end up falling. And I think that's half the battle, is fighting to get into position even if the shot doesn't go.
Do you think there's a balance of expectation based on the fact that the Roller Hawks have clearly been the second best team, only losing 3 games during the regular season? They've probably had their eyes on the Salties, unable to win yesterday, whereas for the younger Perth team, they're a team in transition somewhat. They locked in 3rd place in the standings later in the season. That they'd be feeling they have nothing to lose in this situation?
Yeah, I think it's less of a nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's that matter of the Roller Hawks know that they can earn that position, can make it into that final, and really want a repeat of last year's finals. And they look like they're clawing onto it, whereas the Wheelcats look like they're happy to take this fight. They're enjoying it a little bit more, having a little bit more fun with it, and potentially that's what's gonna keep them in this game. We know that the Roller Hawks struggle a little bit when their attitude kind of starts dipping and they get those fouls racking up.
So much fantastic action off the ball miles before that ball was inbounded. Tristan Knowles and Frank Pinder both know each other very well from the Australian men's national team program. The Rollers, they were competing for the same piece of floor. Now it's Knowles that streaks away, just waiting to see who's going to guard him. It was nobody. Ruiz comes through, throws his hands in the air. He missed the layup, drew some contact, but the referee said he had done that illegally. A charge assessed. That's Ruiz's 2nd personal foul, as the pass sails out of bounds.
What are you doing?
Coach Ettridge asking a pertinent question. The ball will come all the way back to the baseline as nobody touched it off the attempted inbound pass from Moncrief. Ruiz inbounds to Elliott. He'll get the handoff back. Elliott sets a pick. Ball's kicked to Knowles. Back to Ruiz, wide open. He's looking at his hands. Can't believe that shot was a good 3 or 4 feet short. Moncrief in the backcourt. Gets the ball ahead to McHugh, guarded by Elliott. Emini helping out there. He's fouled. He raises his thumb to indicate he's aware that he has fouled.
It's what you like to see from players collecting fouls when they're not even prepared to argue about it. They're just, yep, I know what I did, and ready to move on.
Ball's inbounded. Not a great pass back there from Jordan Moritz. It's come loose. Ruiz. He'll be happy to make a layup, but he doesn't do so. I think he's dumbfounded. Might have overthought that one. Evans with the ball, looks inside, gets it back from Moritz. Nice 1-2 there. Back to just a single point, the margin. The Roller Hawks still spluttering a little bit apart from that Knowles semi-explosion in the first quarter. That man drives baseline, kicks to Popel. Elliott comes with the screen. Popel looks at the shot. It's gone up and touched the support. And we'll go back to the Wheelcats.
It's an unfortunate position that Tristan Knowles was pretty much sitting there ready for that rebound to come down, and it managed to go over the backboard and will go out. He'd done all the work, gotten in position and not rewarded for it.
Simon Corrich in uniform number 8 and Jake Kavanagh back onto the floor for the Wheelcats. Ball's kicked ahead to McHugh. He pivots around, finds Frank Pinder. He goes to the left hand, can't get it to go. Emini doing a good job there skating back defensively. Ruiz to Knowles. He sees Popel all alone underneath the hoop. Incredibly can't finish. Elliott can't finish either. It's almost symptomatic of what's happening here. McHugh down the left-hand baseline, guarded by Ruiz. Player down on the ground. Elliott. And in fact, he's been assessed with a technical foul for his reaction there. Doesn't dispute that.
I think he knows that his reaction was a little bit overboard, but it's a hard thing when you come down with that much speed and come flying down in the middle of the court. It's hard not to react.
Yeah, the Roller Hawks have taken a timeout. Both teams obviously really struggling to score, Campbell.
Yeah, I think the Roller Hawks really have put themselves in positions to consistently where they should be scoring, and where previously in other games we've seen throughout the season they can score, and they're just not landing those shots. I think that's by all means they should be running away with it, but at this point, at least to my assessment, especially of their offense, but they're just not able to finish, whereas the Wheelcats are putting themselves in positions where they're kind of struggling to get it up the court. They're yelling at each other a little bit. They're a few wayward passes. Obviously, we saw that one that went all the way down the court without managing to make it to a single person, but they're still managing to keep up with that score, and I think that's a credit to them when they do get into that offense, and when they can break that press, they're making sure it counts and they're making sure that they get their score.
Reminder, you're watching the preliminary final of the National Wheelchair Basketball League, brought to you by the Beluga Foundation. It's coming to you from Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Stadium, and if you're looking for any information, Wheelchair Basketball Australia, the governing organisation, you can find them on Facebook at Wheelchair Basketball Australia, Instagram at Wheelchair Basketball Australia, on Twitter or X at Wheelchair Hoops, and at wba.net.au you can find all the information, stories, fixtures, statistics from any of these contests today. And of course, you're watching live and free on KO Freebies. All games this weekend, including tomorrow's grand finals and bronze medal games. Another big day. As the technical free throw inevitably is missed. Inevitably, I say, because of the way the shooting statistics have gone in the game. Wheelcats back with the ball. And just to prove me wrong, Jake Kavanagh nails a long two-pointer. Tristan Knowles to Ruiz. Back to Knowles. Popel, long two. That's off. McHugh, the rebound for Perth. Plenty of activity in the backcourt. Lots of chairs. Confusion. Just gets over before the 8-second count is invoked, but it's a wayward pass. Ruiz got hold of it, kicked it ahead. Knowles. Popel drives baseline. No look pass to Elliott. Back to Knowles. Something has been found there. There's another player out of his chair, or almost out of his chair, Frank Pinder. Just teetering there.
I think that will be a running thing of this game. Every time you look up, there might be a player down, just as a way of the style that they play and the speed that they're running at.
And we're back to chair mechanics. Tristan Knowles thinks there's something wrong with one of his wheels. The pit stop is in order. He looks ruefully at it. Takes the substitute. Amazing how they just click straight on. He just checks that all's in order. Is he tightening the wheel up there? Campbell seemed to be...
He might be checking that his axle is sitting in position correctly. There's a few things that can come loose a little bit, and it's the worst thing that you could have happen is a wheel slide off.
Players at this level, I imagine their own mechanics. Ball somehow gets through. There to Moritz. He's unable to make the shot go. McHugh's leaked out. Nice full court pass. He rolls backwards. Fade away. Comes back, gets an offensive rebound. Alone on the free throw line. The shot from Kavanagh's off. the shooting woes continue for both teams. Ruiz is now away. Looking, beautiful pass to Popel. He finally makes the layup. Frank Pinder is down the other end of the floor, out of his chair. Referee Kelly Griffin just ensuring that he's able to get up before play comes down this way. He'll get a hand to flip back. Ball's inbounded by Moncrief. McHugh. Elliott screened off there. Tom McHugh pleading with the referee that he was about to make a layup. Foul call just came an instant before he'd gotten free.
It's a difficult call, especially to make in the wheelchair game. Where do you consider that the layup's being made? It's one of those things that isn't quite coded in the game as it is in the able-bodied game, and it's generally just put back on the floor.
Ball finds its way to McHugh on the far side of the floor. He measures another two. He's been pretty reliable from that spot today, which is saying something, given the general struggle for both teams with the shooting. Ruiz cuts, gets the pass from Knowles, thinks better of it, back to Knowles. He's popped up out of his chair, came back down. Popel has time to measure a three. It's good.
That's what the Rollerhawks really need. They needed something just to be consistent and get their scoring back on track.
Just the slenderest of leads, 2 points. Moncrief, it looked like leaned in there to Jared Emeny. The official was all over it. An offensive foul assessed.
I think he's not too impressed that foul came through, but I think he did lean into it just a little bit too much.
Popel with the ball now for the Rollerhawks. Off to Knowles. Skips back to Popel. Emeny slips the screen. Knowles now gets the Elliott screen. Drives right. A little bit of contact. He accentuates back to Popel. Popel's bank is good.
Popel might be the way that the Rollerhawks collect a little bit of a score here and look to extend their lead. He's looking like the consistent shooter at the moment, at least.
Stephen Elliott assessed with a foul there. Never short on aggression defensively. But unfortunately for him, that's the 5th team foul this quarter again for the Rollerhawks.
That'll be his second. Ruiz has 2. Jonty Brown also has 2. So those fouls starting to pick up a little bit. Haven't made it to the half yet. Could be a dangerous thing as the game I expect inevitably gets a little more heated as the game goes.
A little bit of thinking music in the background as Tom McHugh waits on the free throw line to shoot the 2 bonus free throws. Campbell, you mentioned before about the low point players, and it'd be obvious to any of our viewers that the different players sit at different heights in the chair, and that's part of the 14-point combination that any coach is allowed to have on the floor at any one time.
Yeah, so they run a classification system from 1 to 4.5. 1-point players having the lowest level of function due to disability. It has no bearing on their skill, but it tends to push them into more picking and sealing roles, and they're generally sitting lower in their chairs versus up to 4.5 players who generally have the highest level of function, and they're looking at your post-up shooters and your inside shooters, like your Tristan Knowles, Ben Moncrief, Tom McHugh, players like that.
We did see in the women's preliminary final earlier today one of the lower point players who defied some of those conventions, Tasha Ovens. She of the wonderful 3-point technique from a low point position. Anyway, the ball's back in play. Ruiz now in 45. Kicks it across to Popel. He looks at his options, just turns into a 3. It's close. Knowles scrambles in to get the offensive rebound, measures his shot, does everything but fall. Moncrief the rebound for the Wheelcats. Trailing by 4, the latter stages of the second quarter of the preliminary final. The National Wheelchair Basketball League, we found another offensive foul. Tom McHugh this time.
This would be what you'd expect the Rollhawks to try and capitalise on, these fouls that are coming through in their transitions. We know that they like to play a transition game on the side of the Rollerhawks. They like to play that fast game, so this is probably their chance to extend that lead out a little bit, give them some comfort heading into the half.
Johnny Brown back on the floor for the Rollerhawks in 8. We haven't seen a lot of him. He was sitting with his 2 fouls. Sean Russell as well in 1. The ball kicks across to that Johnny Brown. His shot's off. Frank Pinder just lurking. Gets hold of the rebound. Tom McHugh's away for Perth. Reels across to the white. Ball back to Pinder. He makes the layup. Russell back to Knowles. Frank Pinder's down out of his chair again. There might be a stoppage here. No, he's going to flip himself up. There was enough time for the officials to call for some substitutions. Phil Evans in 18 back onto the floor along with Jordan Moritz for the Wheelcats. It's the Wheelcats in the black uniforms. Trailing by 5 here. The Rollerhawks looking to get to tomorrow's grand final. Tom McHugh to Moritz. He goes glass. Another lefty in the team. Calmly makes it.
And Moritz is a dangerous shooter from that position. He sets himself up pretty quietly, gets the ball, and is pretty automatic.
Tristan Knowles weaving right and left. Turns into a 3. McHugh the rebound to Moncrief. He of the blonde hair. Makes it into the front court. Knowles has recovered to defend him. Pinder coming with a screen. Wheels away. Emini tries to cut him off. Another defender. Back to the ever-present McHugh on the weak side of the floor with the skip pass. His bank shot's good. Ball just deflected away. You'll notice still plenty of activity going on as people try and deny access to the front court for all sorts of reasons.
It's one of the fantastic things of the wheelchair game, that you can completely lock someone up. You have the ability to completely stop their movement, as opposed to the able-bodied game where it's a little bit harder to completely deny movement.
Tristan Knowles looking a little frustrated that screen was either in the wrong spot or the wrong screen. He kicks the ball across the court to Johnny Brown. He measures his shot. Short, strikes a hand of Tom McHugh out to back to Johnny Brown. Knowles drives baseline. Emini the screen. Hooks it inside. Tries to find Russell. Can't do so. Tom McHugh's out on his lonesome. Makes the layup. Perth find themselves in front. And time for a timeout. The second of the first half for the Rollerhawks. It's sort of happened by magic, Campbell.
Yeah, it's been an interesting kind of back and forth. The Rollerhawks looking really clean there for a while, then going a little bit quiet. Luke Popel kind of keeping them in, keeping their scoring going. And then the Wheelcats just coming back, getting a few shots going. Jordan Moritz hitting a shot straight off the bench, and showing the value of kind of rotating through their bench and keeping their players warm, keeping the Rollerhawks on their feet. And yeah, it's shaping up to be pretty competitive.
You mentioned Sean Norris, Australian wheelchair basketball legend, on the bench as an assistant coach. We're looking at him now as almost a silent observer, but has a very prominent presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he plays a very strong part in the process of all of these players coming through, especially the youngsters coming through. And he's got a lot of intelligence and a lot of wisdom to give to these players. So it's really good to see players like Sean Norris giving back to their team, and obviously Tristan Knowles doing the same thing on his side. He works religiously with the younger team coming through to make sure that there is that kind of return in the Australian process, in the Australian men's process, that players continuously roll over and keep going.
Of course, wheelchair basketball, one of the premier Paralympics team sports. The next opportunity for these players will be in Los Angeles. They've got a world championship before that. It's the Australian men's team the Rollers and hopefully the Gliders, the women's team. Ball back in action. Popel spins around, left unguarded. Almost makes the long two. McHugh the rebound. Moncrief's cut off by Knowles. Popel switches on to Moncrief now. He looks for a hook pass. Back to Pinder. Almost telepathic that he knew he was going to be there. Moncrief's going to look at three. A really big dip on that shot, but it's sweet.
That's a dangerous three to be made at such a late point in this half. For the Roller Hawks, they might be getting a little bit worried.
Johnny Brown back to Knowles. We tick inside the last minute. Brown nails a calming two. You can see the exhale from Tristan Knowles. He's a little frustrated with how things are going. Moncrief to McHugh. Familiar tandem. Pin to the screen. McHugh stops, looks, thinks, goes again. Ball back to Moncrief. Shot clock running down. Johnny Brown got a hand in there. Can't believe it, but there looked to be some contact. Referee indicates the cylinder was invaded. Johnny Brown pleading his case. As always, the officials unmoved.
Yeah, it's a interesting rule, especially with the chair itself, the cylinder, and where you kind of judge that to be from. But especially with someone as big and formidable as Tom McHugh, there's a pretty consistent cylinder there, and it's something you can't invade.
When I say the officials unmoved, I should add that they're staying with the call. There was certainly an opportunity for the player to express his frustration, and the official did his best to explain why he'd called the foul, which is all anybody can ask. Both the free throws are good. To push Perth out to a 4-point advantage. Just a possession or so remaining. It's about a 4-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. For the Roller Hawks, likely they will try and use most of that. Ball finds Ruiz. He takes a bounce to balance. Finds Russell inside. He's fouled by McHugh. So late in the second quarter, that might be a significant foul. That's Tom McHugh's third. He appears to be aware of it.
Hey, know what we're doing here? Know what we're doing?
Coach Ettridge choosing not to make a rush substitution. It's always quite a potentially dangerous strategic thing. Different coaches have different philosophies about subbing people out in the first half once they get their third. Sean Russell's second free throw is short and right and bounces harmlessly out of bounds.
And I imagine it depends how well you know your players and know how they'll react to getting that third foul. A lot of them can pull themselves back and kind of sit back and go, okay, I've got 3 fouls, I'm not gonna play too aggressive. But obviously we know other players like to play at their style, and they're going to keep playing like that. So
yeah, it's always a balance between will the player who has 3 fouls play in an inhibited manner, knowing that he or she has 3 fouls. But Coach Ettridge just realised that he had a timeout up his sleeve, so he will try and design something to look at another score with just the 8.9 seconds remaining and a 3-point lead.
And I do want to point out it's interesting to note that it's only 3 points the difference, but the Roller Hawks currently shooting at 27% at a total, and the Perth Wheelcats shooting at 53%. So the Roller Hawks putting themselves in consistent positions to get their points. They're getting those shots up and just not able to convert. Whereas the Wheelcats are making sure that the majority of their shots they're converting on, and they're staying consistent in their play. So if the Roller Hawks can look and find a few more scoring options and lock down that shooting percentage, they might just come away.
Moncrief found Pinder. I want to say a design play. Moncrief came back to receive the inbound pass. Pinder faked an up screen and then went back door effectively. He was guarded, but managed to get hold of it and drop it in. 5-point advantage. Perth understandably up and about.
Yeah, you have to imagine that's exactly what they were talking about in that timeout. Setting up that play, and you may have heard before Coach Ben Ettridge calling out, "We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing." Obviously, they've consistently spoke about how they play out different scenarios, dead ball, playing off foul shots, and it coming away for them.
So a reminder, you're watching today. There's another 4 games tomorrow. We've got the 2 bronze medal contests at 9 o'clock and 10:45. The women's game first, then the men's. Then we've got the 2 gold medal games, all live and free on KO Freebies. 12:45, the women's final. We saw the Sydney University Lions just prior to this game, pretty much dominant in their preliminary final win. And obviously the winner of this game will go ahead to play the Darwin Salties. Any thoughts on the women's grand final tomorrow, Campbell, at this early stage?
It's really hard to call. I think both teams have looked very strong. The Sydney Blues have looked incredibly strong all throughout their season, but you never know. Their shooting goes cold occasionally, and that can be a little bit dangerous for them. They know that that's really what their strong suit is. Between Tisha Shadwell, Georgia Monroe-Cook, just sitting in the paint, being unstoppable in their shooting. If they go even a little bit cold, I think that could spell disaster.
All right, we'll definitely expect a healthy crowd here, given the 2 Sydney teams from the 6 teams contesting the National League have finished up in the grand final. Anyway, all to do here for the Wollongong Roller Hawks, and we'll be back shortly with the second half to see if they can turn this deficit around. A really big dip on that shot. Johnny Brown back to Knowles. We tick inside.
Especially they've had a few little back chats to the referees. It just takes that one player to kind of infect the team with that kind of attitude, and it really takes that slowing down, especially coming from the coach and coming from the senior leadership on the team, just to say, okay, that's fine. We recognize the bad things that have happened. That's fine. What have we done right, and what are we doing right, and how can we move forward? And I think that's a credit to players like Tristan Knowles, who kind of take a leadership role. And he's got to be in that position to say, where are we moving from this? Because we know we can win. They know they can win, absolutely. So how do they make it happen?
Tristan Knowles with the ball for the Wollongong Roller Hawks. They're in the white uniforms. The Perth Wildcats in the black uniform. There was Tom McHugh there in 13. Coming across to swat that one out of bounds. 9 seconds remaining on the 24-second shot clock. For the Roller Hawks, it'll be dual Spanish Paralympian Jordi Ruiz to inbound for Wollongong, one of 6 imports in the men's league this year. As Tristan Knowles starts with a 3. And a very vibrant shake of the arm.
That might be exactly the kind of attitude and that power that they need to return back into this game.
Ball kicks ahead. Now, I did say the men's National Wheelchair Basketball League, but of course it's just the National Wheelchair Basketball League. You'll notice Hannah Dodd on the floor in number 9 for the Roller Hawks. She having played for the Sydney University Lions in the earlier preliminary final of the Women's League. Tristan Knowles has a look at the seams of the ball, as is his want, kicks the ball across to Ruiz. He pivots around expertly, goes for the layup, draws some contact, but Frank Pinder emerged from nowhere to take the charge.
Yeah, it's extremely intelligent defense just to know that line was coming and to lock it down really quickly.
It's the 3rd foul again, a day of frustration for Jordi Ruiz. He's pleading his case, but he's back to business now in the backcourt. As the ball moved forward to Moritz, guarded by Hannah Dodd. Kicks the ball across to Evans, across to Moncrief, blonde hair. Down to McHugh, operating off the elbow. He sets a screen for Moncrief, shot clock running down. Moncrief launches a long 3. Evans in there to almost poke it away. Falls to Knowles. Riz with the screen. Knowles drives middle. Some contact in the paint. Stephen Elliott pleading for the unsportsmanlike foul. Nothing doing on this occasion, just a plain foul.
I think that's a smart call even from the referees, just to say this is the standard that we're setting for the contact that's coming through. That's how we're going to call it, and play out the second half how you will.
Knowles goes baseline. His elevated shot's a little long. Ball back to Moncrief. Knowles cuts him off in the backcourt. McHugh kicks it ahead to get over the timeline. Evans with it. Handoff. Moncrief. Elliott pursuing him hotly. Forced him to put a wheel out of bounds. It's the value of Stephen Elliott.
And it's exciting to also hear the Rollerhawks bench getting very, very excited about that call, and I think that's exactly what they need. They need their team to get behind them, not only on court, but the ones sitting on the bench as well as the supporters here, obviously. I think that's how they bring that energy back and get back in a good headspace.
Knowles is off with that 3, just. Kavanagh the rebound. Moritz cut off. Bounce pass. McHugh. There's a fantastic stop and swerve. Finds Moncrief. An offensive foul found again. It's been the flavour of the game. Jordan Moritz this time assessed as screening illegally. That's his 4th foul. Got those in a hurry. Each player allowed 5 personal fouls. As Knowles reels in an almost wayward pass. Drives baseline, catches a wheel, manages to get in for the layup.
And again, that assist probably going to Hannah Dodd. That's another clean little screen that's set up. She's been pretty vocal about those. She's been screaming at her team to follow her through because she's setting them up consistently.
Sean Russell fouling this time. Plenty of contact going on all the way up and down the floor. It's quite the task for the officials. Players at this level, of course, are familiar with a fair degree of contact, Campbell, but even then it's tricky to determine who's done what.
And sometimes it's not the level of contact necessarily, but the style of contact and wanting it to be called one way or the other.
So McHugh looks at a shot that he's been comfortable making today, but he can't make that one. Russell the rebound, hands it off to Knowles. He, in his familiar fashion, looks at the ball, head fakes, gets into the lane, looking around, gets himself all the way to the hoop. Again, Knowles really looking to put his stamp on things here. Lift his team. Ball goes ahead to Moncrief. Dodd manages to make him think twice. Moncrief drives the right side. Elevated pass. Moritz is there off the underside of the rim. Finds Evans. He can't get it to go. Elliott the rebound. Ruiz on transition. Surveying the floor. Finds Knowles. Fakes the shot again. He's contacted from behind by Evans. Flips out of his chair temporarily.
You can see Knowles making a hand gesture there, just saying calm down, slow it down, wanting the play to be a little bit slower. And I think that is kind of key to the Rollerhawks. We know that they like to play that fast, aggressive style, but it's kind of getting the better of them. And maybe they need to look for a pretty consistent shot, get their shooting back in order, and then they can look for that fast play again.
There's Simon Coric in 8. And Jake Kavanagh at 14 come onto the floor for the Wheelcats. Ruiz looking for a banker this time. He's a little short again. A frustrating shooting night. Moncrief down the floor. Uses the Pinder screen. Gets himself right into the paint. Avoids a bit of contact and makes the 2.
It's a really good level of composure to be able to take that back in.
Tristan Knowles unable to reel that one in. Still looks a little frustrated. His competitive fire is admirable, but it does require some getting himself at exactly the right emotional pitch. Such a competitor.
He's a little bit of an intimidating figure on court. He's a lovely person off the court, but when he's on, he gets he likes to get fired up and likes to play physical.
The ball back with the Wheelcats from Perth. Moncrief with it. Flips a left-hand pass across. That shot's good. Moncrief showing great dexterity with that pass, and Jake Kavanagh are able to convert it. They keep their noses in front. Knowles looking to change that. His 3 went in and out. Popel the rebound for the Rollerhawks. Cops a bit of a whack in the head. Coach Ettridge not convinced, but there did seem to be some contact there. Ball's inbounded. Knowles relatively open. Leans into a 3. Can't get it to go. The ball rolls across away from the court. There's still plenty of actions you can hear and see going on in the backcourt. People denying people's movement, all legally. Kavanagh kicks it ahead to Moncrief. Knowles is back to guard him. Ball skipped across. Russell sees it at the last minute. McHugh grabs hold of it. Ball's in dispute. Elliott screams in there. Moncrief gets hold of it. Shot clock did reset for some reason. Shots off. Ball bounces around a couple of times. Back to Kavanagh. A foul's been found.
It's the Wheelcats just drawing a few too many fouls here and kind of reaching in for a ball that they don't really need to fight for. It's not worth it, and certainly, I mean, the Rollerhawks haven't looked that consistent from their shooting, but you don't want to be sending them to the line. Someone like Tristan Knowles, who has so much experience shooting free throws with the style that he plays, he draws a lot of fouls, so I wouldn't want to send any of them to the line.
Yeah, in a game where both teams have struggled for consistent scoring, that was the 5th team foul, as you mentioned, this half for Perth. Coach Ettridge has called a timeout to try and, I'd suggest, calm things down a little, but the Rollerhawks will be heading to the free throw line with an opportunity to tie up the game. Of course, in any one quarter, as in all basketball competitions, the 5th team foul and beyond results in 2 free throws to the team that was fouled.
And that is, again, Jordan Moritz has collected 4 fouls, and that's also Tom McHugh sitting on 3. So 2 players that are pretty valuable to this team. Obviously, Tom McHugh, if he starts getting even 1 more, that's a really dangerous position to put them in. He plays 40 minutes a game, pretty much every single game for the Wheelcats. So it'll be a hard thing to fill that gap if he has to be taken off.
So we're normally looking at the season statistics. You would expect the Rollerhawks to get about 60 points from their 3 scoring stars. Knowles, Ruiz and Jonty Brown, and it's really been Knowles sort of carrying things today from that trio's point of view.
Yeah, he's shooting at 40%. Luke Pope also shooting at 40%, but as a team, 28.
It's fairly self-evident, isn't it? Just one of those days. Popel makes the first free throw. He was the one that was fouled 94 feet down the floor on that defensive rebounding contest. Short with the second. Moncrief the rebound, one-handed. Kavanagh cut off by Russell. 8 seconds, probably a consideration, but the ball's flipped ahead. Pinder might have found some contact, misses the layup. McHugh operating way above the traffic. Pleads for a foul as he makes a layup. Popel across to Knowles. He wheels through the middle, back to Popel. That three looked good. Russell, fantastic leaning one-handed offensive rebound and still had the poise to finish.
This is much more what you'd expect from the Rollerhawks, that fast play and getting Sean Russell inside. He's a fantastic shooter from underneath the basket, and that's exactly what they need.
Moncrief drives baseline, settles himself for the shot, can't make it. Knowles the rebound. Moncrief tries to cut him off. Popel sets a screen. Knowles almost alone. Looks, sees Popel scurrying to the basket. His layup's good.
That was a really smart play, just to line up, pretend that he was taking the three. You could even hear the bench for the Wheelcats calling three, assuming that he was going to take it. And Luke Popel just comes flying through.
The Rollerhawks still trying to put that backcourt pressure on at every available opportunity. The Wheelcats get it into the front court, but time is running down. Shot clock dribbles below 5. A long off-balance three from Moncrief is off. Pass almost perfect for Knowles, but just couldn't get a handle on it. Forced him to foul. He looks ruefully down. He's got a problem with his wheel again, I think. It's his second personal foul. Signalling to the official that there might be something wrong. Mechanic called into action again.
This is what happens when you play that fast and with all of this kind of contact. The wheels take a lot of a beating. Most players will come with at least one spare.
Yeah, manager James Williams is quite adept with the wheel things, as well as the water bottles, as well as the towels. He's making some adjustments to that wheel behind the bench as Jordan Moritz comes back in 12 for the Wheelcats. Moncrief inbounds the ball. McHugh's going to have to rush to get to that one. He exhales as he does. Skips it back to Moncrief. Guarded by Knowles. Bit of chair collision there. Knowles looks around suddenly. Knowles assessed with the foul.
Elbow, Ben, here, Frank, inbounder, Jordan, down low, Phil, elbow, Tom. You're the reverse.
As he gets that
Whoever
wheel back.
You on the elbow. Tom, once you kick it, dive. Go, Frank, all the way around. All the way around, Frank. Ben, let him go!
It's the third foul for Knowles. Moritz drives baseline, cut off by Dodd. Finds Pinder inside, he goes the left reverse. Can't make it, Popel the rebound. Knowles is away. Elliott side screens him into action. Knowles deep in the paint, back to Russell. Layup.
They're looking a lot more comfortable there. That's their style. That's their kind of bread and butter. That play off the two bigs.
Yeah, the penetration from Knowles has changed this game a little bit. He was content to shoot from the perimeter earlier on, but he's making his way into the paint at every opportunity. Moritz looks around, lobs a pass inside. Moncrief's able to reel it in and convert neatly. Popel back to Russell. Elliott temporarily out of his chair. Shakes his head. Just a flicker of a delay. We're back in action. Knowles dribbles across to the left. Popel gets himself in the lane. Couple of head fakes back to Knowles. His shot's blocked by McHugh. McHugh kicks ahead to Evans. Moritz sailing. The pass unfortunately sailed past him. Moncrief now has it. Shot clock kicks under 10. McHugh rolls it forward into that shot. Can't get it to go. Popel. Knowles exploring with a cut through the opposite side. Popel looks around, launches a three. Moritz gets away from Dodd there. It's a 2-on-1. Makes the right pass. Evans finishes.
The Wildcats really doing everything they can to just claw onto this lead and try and keep it into this last quarter.
Ball with Knowles. It's about a 7-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. He again penetrates. Kicks Popel to Russell. Turns around, looking at the baseline elevator shot. Knowles draws some contact, feels the contact and releases a shot.
It's a very smart play to almost wait for that contact. Sitting at the top of the keyway, I think he knew that he would get jumped every single time and knew that contact was going to come in a little too fast.
Kavanagh and Corrich come in for the last 8 seconds. This quarter just to ensure there's no further foul trouble. And potentially to give Tom McHugh just a moment's more rest. Tristan Knowles, the man you probably want on the free throw line. This is the first. And the second. But long rebound. Sean Russell gets it and is fouled again.
It's going to be one of those 10 seconds that lasts about 5 minutes at this rate. So it's not a position that the Wildcats need to be putting themselves in.
Just the second personal foul for Frank Pinder. Sean Russell can't do it. It's 3 on the bounce for the Roller Hawks. Make that 4. Ball with Moncrief, symptomatic of the day. Evans kicks it ahead. Pinder tried to launch something there. Really clever hands from Popel not to foul in that situation. And as we head towards the last quarter, it's just the single point. As you mentioned, the Wildcats somehow just keep managing to keep their noses in front.
Yeah, they're just holding on, managing to make a few shots that are pretty consistent for themselves, but their defense looking a little bit strained on the side of the Wildcats, and the Rollerhawks kind of trying to capitalize on that. Again, they're shooting kind of coming in and then coming out, and then it's just they're not able to find their consistent rhythm. They found it a couple times and then they've lost it. Again, those threes coming in from Tristan Knowles, and also the outside shots coming in from Luke Popel, who's been kind of the one to recover every time for the Rollerhawks. It's Luke Popel being consistent.
He's taken up that second scoring slot behind Knowles. We probably shouldn't be surprised, Campbell, given that each of the teams play each other 3 times during the season, and the 3 games played in Perth this season were all nail-biting affairs.
Yeah, the Wildcats are able to come away with the first game by 1 point, and then the Rollerhawks coming away with the 2 other games, the first by 1 point and then the other by 5 points. So absolutely incredibly close games, incredibly competitive games. We should recognise that in those games when the Rollerhawks went across to Perth, Sean Russell didn't come with them. So you would hope that in this game, when they've got their full squad prepared, that they should be able to come away with a little bit more strength, but they're still struggling to find that kind of rhythm and find what they were able to find in their previous games.
Yeah, their team shooting percentage has improved slightly, up to 31.4% now, and conversely, the Perth Wheelcats were shooting so well and efficiently, 55% at halftime, down to a tick over 43% now. And some of the other statistics with great parity. Both teams 34 rebounds in total, as you'd expect, and yeah, I would say that potentially the Wheelcats, the happier of the two teams at the moment. Not only do they have the 1 point advantage, but they're really in a situation where maybe the moment may catch up with the Rollerhawks. We will see as play is underway. Fourth quarter, preliminary final. Playing for a game in tomorrow's gold medal game, the National Wheelchair Basketball League, coming to you from Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Stadium. Tom McHugh has that one poked away. It's the Perth Wheelcats in the black uniforms. The Wollongong Rollerhawks in the white. Tristan Knowles, notional leader of that team, finds Ruiz in the paint. To Johnny Brown. And that'll please him. He struggled to make a scoring impact tonight.
And as you were saying, those 60 points, a lot of them coming through Jonty Brown usually for the side of the Rollerhawks. So exciting to see him kind of bring that back a little bit, try and get back to his season average.
Yeah, 21 points a game he'd contributed up until this finals weekend. Anyway, ball's back in play. Moncrief, skip pass, finds his way back to Moritz, back to Moncrief. He makes the baseline elevator shot.
Hey, lock in here. Frank, get home.
Jordy Ruiz with the ball. Skips it across to Knowles. McHugh gets there in time to stop a three-point attempt. Back to Johnny Brown, posting up. Back to Knowles. Knowles uses the screen from Klein on the floor for the first time tonight. He did start the previous game, and he makes his presence felt with a layup.
That's one of the things that the Rollerhawks have a little bit more in over the Wheelcats, is that they do use their bench a little bit more. They have a little bit more reliability in their bench so that they can play players that are a little bit less stressed, a little bit less tired.
Quite the luxury for the Rollerhawks to be able to bring on one of the Australian men's national team. Tom Klein, and there's been a technical foul assessed. I think that's on Tristan Knowles, the technical foul. The personal foul was on Jordy Ruiz. He felt that he'd got all ball and reaching from behind.
Hey, organise here. Jordan is low. Frank is coming
So the
around.
technical foul
Actually, Jordan, you're that side. Frank,
on Knowles is his fourth. And the personal foul on Ruiz is his fourth.
tough, fit.
So certainly some nervous times for the Rollerhawks.
That's been the struggle, that the Rollerhawks haven't gotten into a lot of foul trouble, but only on a couple players, versus the Perth Wheelcats have put themselves in foul trouble a little bit more consistently, but they've spread it across a few players.
So Moncrief made the free throw, and then the ball was inbounded, and Jordan Moritz calmly nailed an 18-footer to push the Wheelcats back in front. Johnny Brown, skip pass, Ruiz. He's fouled before he makes the shot. It's a frustrating afternoon for him. Very demonstrative in his gestures, in a very entertaining way.
He's being very smart, not to say too much, not to give too much away, but certainly very expressive.
He will inbound the ball to Knowles. Uses Hannah Dodd's screen. It's across the floor. Johnny Brown back to Knowles. Knowles launches a three. That's off. Klein in there again. The shot may have been deflected. Yeah, the official saw it that way. Desperate attempt by Moncrief to save it. He realised it had been deflected. Ruiz will inbound the ball from the baseline for Wollongong. Coach Ettridge a little confused, but he possibly did not see that deflection of the shot. Otherwise, Klein was shooting the ball at right angles. .11 seconds on the shot clock. Ball's deflected, out of bounds. Tristan Knowles temporarily tied up there. Jumps his chair free. Ruiz again, looking some no-look action. Gets it to Knowles. Back to Ruiz. Shot clock ticks under 10. Back to Knowles. He attempts to drive, cut off. Back to Ruiz. His shot looks good, just a little short. The Wheelcats are off and running. Evans, 2-on-1 situation. McHugh looks away, then makes the shot.
Again, the shooting going a little bit too quiet for the Roller Hawks. Jordy Ruiz just not able to find anything in this afternoon.
Knowles launches a three, that's off. Moncrief, the baseball pass. Evans calms things down. Wheels around, finds Moncrief. Dodd cuts him off. Klein from the side. He tries a little side spinning shot. Can't get it to go. Johnny Brown the rebound. Out to Ruiz. He sees a bit of a lane. Drives middle. Klein's shot teasingly falls off the front of the rim. Evans is off and running. Plenty of action in the backcourt, and in fact, an offensive foul's been assessed. Two players there trying to keep Johnny Brown in the backcourt. Moncrief the foul. As Luke Popel comes back onto the floor for Jordy Ruiz. Knowles inbounds, the long pass to Popel. About 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Back to Popel, he's open for three. Nails it.
Again, Popel just being that consistent shooter that just bring back in the Roller Hawks when they feel like they're slipping a little bit away. And, always able to find his mark.
He's got a vast amount of experience as McHugh thinks about a three. Kicks the ball back to Moncrief. He'll launch a three. It's short. Dodd gets hold of the rebound at maximum extension. Popel, impassive expression on his face, often rolling. Gets his way into the paint. Can't get the layup to go. Moncrief the rebound. Moritz. Evans has leaked out in front. Lovely flip pass there from Frank Pinder. And the shot was made, but there was a lot of black jerseys in the paint for a long time. Coach Ettridge trying to manage the situation here. Calls his second of three timeouts in the second half with his team clinging to the 1 point lead.
Yeah, I think they're taking that moment just to calm down, and even just a moment for Coach Ettridge to calm down and collect his thoughts. It's a very intense, very physical game. So we've seen a lot of those fouls come through. Obviously, we've seen a couple players now sitting on 4 fouls. And I imagine both teams just need a minute to just breathe, think about their options, and they know that they've both got the chance to win here and move into that gold medal game. So,
yeah, the game is a little like a bar of soap for both teams, that they appear to have hold of it, but just can't quite get it under control to the point that they're comfortable in any way. And the nerves showing on both benches and on the floor. So the Wheelcats back on the floor. No changes for them. And likewise for the Roller Hawks from Wollongong, and they will have the ball. The ball's inbounded to Tristan Knowles, flips it back to Luke Popel. Probably something set out of that timeout. Handoff to Knowles, drives middle. expertly weaves his arms across to avoid having the ball knocked away, and in fact drew a foul. It's the third team foul in this last quarter for the Wheelcats. Still a little bit of wiggle room for them. Knowles drifts across the floor, using multiple screens, flips it back to Popel. Shot clock appeared to flip to some strange numbers there, but I think everybody was aware that it was expiring.
I think the Rollerhawks might have thought that there was a little bit too much contact on that shot. But, foul not being assessed, and it would be a dangerous foul to commit at this point.
McHugh just off the left-hand block, back to Moritz. Moncrief drives baseline, cut off by Johnny Brown. Leans back into his shot, can't make it. Johnny Brown the rebound. Popel looking to push transition. Weaving across the floor. Frank Pinder emerging behind him, looking at the steal. Popel gets into the paint, leans into the contact. Fantastic chair control there. Made the basket and drew the foul. Jake Kavanagh and Simon Corrich back onto the floor. They've been used as a tandem substitution most of the afternoon. This is the preliminary final of the National Wheelchair Basketball League, coming to you from Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Stadium. As Luke Popel, part of the Australian national team setup, makes that free throw to push the Rollerhawks' noses in front of their beaks. Ball inside. A couple of shot fakes from McHugh. Ties things up.
McHugh being pretty consistent from that inside shot. They haven't found him too often, but every time he gets into that position, he's consistent in it.
Knowles weaves, looks at the mid-range shot, can't get it to go. McHugh the rebound. Clock ticks under 4 minutes. Almost. McHugh baseline. Kavanagh, guarded by Hannah Dodd. Moncrief, thought about that one. A couple of fakes. Shot was short, pleading for some contact on the elbow. Referee Tomasic not convinced. Popel draws some contact expertly. He's really come to the fore, hasn't he? As almost a guiding a light, running the point as much as anything.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing for him to be so consistent, so level-headed, and really trying to guide this team home.
Not a lot of emotion there as he misses that first free throw. Makes the second. Rollerhawks active defensively. Moncrief skip past McHugh, almost cut off. Moncrief cuts, makes the layup. Nice two-man game there, a lot of screening and a fake action going on from the other three players on the floor.
And it was really smart from Moncrief as well, as he was coming into that right as he released the shot. He spun very hard on his axles just to avoid that charge that he knew he was kind of coming into. He spun really hard against that and making sure that he doesn't draw another foul.
Johnny Brown goes glass. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt there that was the aim. He's on the 45. Makes a three. Crucial shot. Ball with Moncrief. Draws a bit of contact. No call there. Back to McHugh. Big left-hand looping pass. Kavanagh. Klein gets a hand in there brilliantly. Forces the turnover. And Tristan Knowles is fouled. He helps Luke Popel up to his equilibrium.
It's a position that the Wildcats really don't want to be in this bonus now. It's an unfortunate time to start getting them.
And unfortunately for Frank Pinder, that's his 5th personal foul, so he's going to head to the bench.
And I think that might mean that they're forced to put Jordan Moritz back on with 4 fouls as well.
And Jordan Moritz does make his way onto the floor, along with Phil Evans. Tactical substitution in terms of the points there, Campbell.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing that you have to play around those points. So sometimes when players get into foul trouble, they create a situation that's pretty difficult for coaches.
In fact, Luke Popel was the player fouled, and he makes both those free throws. The Roller Hawks find themselves up by 4. Tom Klein, who's had a real impact in some short minutes in this second half, makes his way to the bench. Jordi Ruiz back on. Flips the chair of Moncrief there just slightly. No call. Moritz gets in the middle, maybe one pass too many. Evans gets his own rebound after missing a shot. McHugh shots off. Johnny Brown the rebound. Ruiz to Johnny Brown. Just was going a little too quickly there.
Yeah, I think he had a little bit too much speed and he was concerned about the contact coming through. I honestly would have tried to push through that contact knowing that it was Jordan Moritz on the defense, and then he probably doesn't want to risk making that contact in case he draws the foul. So
a lot to think about in that instant. It's Moncrief to McHugh. He holds it up behind his head. Gets into the shooting position. Makes 2. Right where we thought we might be, under 2 points. At 2 points the margin, under 2 minutes to play. Popel looks at 3. That rolls tantalisingly in and out. Moncrief the rebound. McHugh wheels across to the other side of the floor. Has the ball now. Rolls backwards. Makes a long 2. Tie us up. Ruiz gets it into the front court. Finds Knowles. Hasn't touched it for a while. Kicks to Popel. Popel drives middle. Sees a lane. Little finger roll scoop there.
And again, Luke Popel, it's almost an unstoppable force at this point with his shooting. Is really just keeping this game alive.
His impassive face is the most impressive part for me. As McHugh has the ball stripped away. Knowles screams after it. Almost go, well, it does go into the advertising hoardings.
It's a hazard of being on the bench in a wheelchair basketball game. They can come flying at you at speed.
Everybody seems okay and quite amused. Shot clock running down, as you can hear in the background. Moncrief to McHugh is going to have to launch something here. Gets a 3 off, it's short. Never quite got his balance right. The Roller Hawks still sitting with a couple of timeouts. Coach Ettridge has one available for Perth. Probably see a few strategic twists and turns in this next 50 seconds. Popel with the ball for Wollongong. Drives right, flips to Knowles, looking an early 3. That's off. McHugh the rebound. Jordi Ruiz not happy, holding his hands up. But that's going to be his 5th foul. He knew it instantly. He will head to the bench. Tom Klein, when he's called onto the floor, will come back on for the Roller Hawks. Just hasn't been Jordi Ruiz's day, but he'll be hoping his team can preserve this slight lead. Ball's in. Moritz to Moncrief. Aggressively goes to the right-hand side of the floor, cut off by Popel. Back to McHugh, back to Moncrief. Knowles comes up to deny him. McHugh, pass fake, back to Moncrief. His two's a little long. Popel with the ball. They're going to need to foul now. And Evans realises that straight away. Comes in and fouls Popel.
Hannah asking if it might have been an unsportsmanlike, trying to put a little bit of salt in the wound.
I think officials are disinclined at this stage to insert themselves unnecessarily in the game. Luke Popel frustratingly sees the first rim out. And the second short, Evans. McHugh uses the backcourt screen. Game clock runs under 10. McHugh gets his way right into the middle of the paint. Finds Moritz. He's fouled. Johnny Brown raises his hand. Really, anything could have happened there if that went in.
And this is one of those positions that you don't want to put anyone in. It's an unfortunate thing to put Jordan Moritz at the foul line. He's almost forced to make these shots.
I think Coach Edridge had been calling for a timeout, but he's decided not to ice his own shooter. And unfortunately, that first free throw is off. So we're in a make and foul or a deliberate miss situation. The deliberate miss is the option. Moncrief gets hold of it. That shot's off. And that'll do it. Unbelievable. Players looking a little stunned from both teams there. Actually expertly executed, missed free throw. Moncrief was able to get in, get the offensive rebound. His shot had to be a rushed one. Just fell off the far side of the rim.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been a showing of what the entire game has been. Those all important shots not being able to drop for either team, and the Rollhawks just coming away with it after. Honestly, I would be calling that the Luke Popel game. That entire game just being the consistency and the professionalism that he showed in that game to keep the game alive.
Yeah, the two youngsters for Perth, Moncrief and McHugh, from a scoring perspective, were reasonably solid and kept things afloat, probably as well as could be expected. But as you say, Popel really, on a day where the three leading scorers were struggling all to some degree, he really took over things in that second half.
Yeah, Luke Popel being the highest scorer on the side of the Rollerhawks, 23 points, 9 rebounds. Tristan Knowles almost only coming away with 21 points, but almost coming away with a triple-double with 21 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. So almost looking like a beautiful game coming in there.
Belied by by some of his body language, you'd think Tristan was having a shocker. He's very hard on himself.
And to be fair, on the side of the Wheelcats, we should give a quick mention to Ben Moncrief coming away with 12 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. So actually getting that triple-double coming in